Hey, guys. This is Ashley Witcher. I am back for another episode of The Awkward Prophet. And today I am super excited. We have a guest with us today by the name of Geena Driven. But before I get to introducing her formally, you guys know that this is the space and the place where we boldly and authentically navigate faith, womanhood, and everything in between. So that you know that everything in between can be business. It could be I might bring on one of my brothers. We might talk ministry, we might talk life, we may talk anything, like anything. We might talk hot topics, we may talk about family. You never know what the discussion is going to lead up to. But I'm super excited to continue the conversations that I've been having about ministry pretty much outside of the four walls of the church, because we know how traditional ministry in church goes. But ministry is really supposed to be found outside of the four walls. Like, we're supposed to be ministering in every space and place that we are invited into. And so I'm super excited to have Geena here because I want to tell you guys how we met. You guys know that I am in Georgia, Atlanta area, and I met Geena back last October in Dallas, Texas, in the Dallas, Texas area. I was there because Geena, she's a dance instructor, and I was there as a part of the women's ministry that I was one of the leaders in. We were there and we had, what is it called? Heels. What was it? It was heels and
Oh, hip hop heels.
hip hop heels. Yes, it was hip
Yes.
hop heels. Yes. And so it was so much fun. It was like a private instruction class just for us, for me and the other women in the ministry. We were all leaders, actually. And when I tell you, it, like, first of all, it was a workout. Like, Geena worked us out, okay? But it was so much fun.
Always.
It was so much fun in our heels. We got to really just, I don't know, I just felt like leaving there, I felt so much more confident in not just being able to dance in heels, but more confident just, in my womanhood. And it definitely helped me and the other ladies to, bond, because that takes, first of all, vulnerability to be dancing in heels in front of other people, especially hip hop heels, because this wasn't, we had to learn a whole like routine, you guys. It wasn't just, freestyle. Now, we had a couple freestyle moments, but it was like, we're gonna learn this routine. We're gonna go in groups. We go group A. We're gonna see how y'all do. Everybody watch, everybody cheer. It was fun. It was fun. Like I said, it was encouraging, empowering, and definitely a workout that I felt the next day. But I was like, I remember talking to Geena afterwards, and we were talking, and I was just telling her like how much I enjoyed the class, and we got to the conversation, and she began to just really speak about how dance was her ministry. And it really piqued my interest because most most dance that you see as ministry is inside the church. You got the liturgical dance, praise dancers, praise team. You don't really hear a hip hop heels instructor say like, this is my ministry. Okay. And I was like, man, and it kind of opened my eyes to, like, really, I really had to really examine even the impact that it had on me that night and the other ladies. And I was like, yeah, I can really see how this is ministry, because you can walk in there, with low confidence. You can walk in there, maybe even have being like body conscious and things like that. But you can leave like totally change, like with a shift in your attitude, a shift in how you see yourself and how you feel. And so it was like, man, this is ministry, like it really is. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And so I'm gonna introduce Geena She goes by Geena Driven. But I'm gonna read her a short bio just so you can get a little bit of information about her. Okay, so Geena, she is originally from Cameroon, West Africa. So Geena Driven has become a household name in the Dallas dance community. She is an accomplished choreographer, sorry, performer, and creative director over the last 20 years. And I'm like, you look like you 20 something, okay, child. Look over the last 20 years. Over the last 20 years, she has spent a great part of her career creating opportunities for dancers to discover, develop, and deploy their passion for dance. She is a visionary dance leader. She pioneered the Dallas Hip Hop Dance Festival in 2012, the Legacy Hip Hop Dance Convention, and Hype Choreographers Showcase. Look, I can't read today, y'all.
Listen, it is
It's
okay.
been a long day. Okay.
I already know.
She is the owner and master choreographer of Hip Hop Heels and also the former president of the Dance Council of North Texas. Geena and her endeavors have been featured on Fit Trip with Kimberly Westpaul, uh,
Westfall. Hmm.
Good Morning Texas, Fox 4, Good Day, the Dallas Morning News, the Dallas Examiner, WFAA Daybreak, and Al Extremo. Look, Geena okay, she look.
It's always so weird listening to my bio. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
gosh. And
look,
unfortunately, I'm sitting here like, oh, sorry. Hi.
look, the short bio, okay?
Ah,
Look, Geena has
ah,
social proof, okay? Okay, and so some of her dance
my God.
and choreography critics include Black Eyed Peas, Super Bowl. I remember watching that Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl 45 in
Mhm, I
Dallas.
remember
Yes.
that, okay?
Uh-huh.
And was that is it Coach Tao Casino or Choctaw
Choctaw,
Casino?
Choctaw Casino.
Okay,
I just came
yeah.
from that area today
Uh,
too.
did you? uh,
I wasn't gambling, I promise. I
Word,
went to go work.
look, hey, I mean, hey. CNN Fit Nation, Miss Africa USA, Texas Legends Dancers, the Sideline Group, Chinatown Band, recording artist Torsha Lynn, Dallas Cowboys Club, Christmas at the Cathedral, Recess TV, Black Girl Ventures, and Kim Crawford Wines. Okay, look, Geena is not new to this, okay? So most recently, she served as the production director of Elevate Life Church in Frisco and is the host of Beyond the Dance Floor with Geena Driven. It's a lifestyle podcast created to help dancers live a life driven by passion, motivated by excellence, and inspired by purpose. So whether she's in front of the camera or behind it, she gets the most joy and fulfillment in inspiring others to create a life worth dancing for. I love that. So,
That
look,
is my heart.
look, welcome.
Yes. Thank
I
you. Thank you.
needed to talk to you today. Um,
Yeah.
so even though I read your bio, I want to really just, before we even get to the part about the ministry, dance being a ministry for you, can you tell us how did you get into dancing? Like, were you just one of those babies that was always on
Ah,
move and like your mom and maybe your parents maybe put you in dance classes? Like, how did all that come about?
um, my mom would tell you that I probably, you know, um, danced before I could walk.
Yeah.
However, can you hear any noise behind me by chance?
No, you're good. You're
Okay,
good.
good. Just making sure. Okay. Maybe it's just me that can hear it then. Great.
Yeah.
And so, it really was one of those things, growing up in Africa, we're surrounded by
Mhm.
movement, we're surrounded by sound and music all over the place. And so that was a huge part of my life. And my dad, from a very young age, he was part of a small band. And so I was kind of enveloped in music
Yeah.
for a while and movement as well. And my very first experience dancing, and I actually shared this with a student today in a private lesson.
Mhm.
I learned to drum first before, because in Cameroon we have over 250 tribes,
Oh,
and
wow.
each of them has like their own, or should I say over 150, sorry, America. Each of them has their own language, their own food, their own way of living, and all these things, and their own, specific dance that's for that tribe, right? And
Mhm.
so, um, my tribe is dances with their hips more. So, long story short, for as long as I can remember, movement has been a part of me,
Mhm.
and I had seized every opportunity. Creating has been a part of me.
Wow.
I seized every opportunity I had. My parents, um, were. I'm fortunate to have had parents that were able to foster that in me and say, "Hey, you want to dance? Great. You can join whatever team while
Yeah.
you're in school." I went to a boarding school in
Okay.
Cameroon. So, and or if you wanted to act, and I put together plays in the neighborhood. So yeah, this
Wow.
ain't we ain't new to this. We true to this.
Yes,
But
yes, yes.
this this has been me for a hot minute. This is it's been
Yes.
engraved in me, and I would like to think that my parents dance. I don't think so, because I saw my mom dance when I was like, oh, I didn't get my dance moves from you, did I? Because this is a little different than what you're doing right now. And she was like, oh, but that's okay. I called it like I saw it. So
Right.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when did you come over to the US?
Right before Y2K in 1999 in
Oh, really?
September.
Wow.
Hmm. Yeah.
Listen, because look, it got harder to come over here after that. That, like, yeah.
Yes, it was. We are asylees, so it was. Yeah, it was
Okay.
one of those things where it was like you got to get out. They're like, okay,
Yeah, yeah. Right,
so
right. Yeah, that's awesome to hear, especially how supportive they were, your parents, with you dancing. And I know your father being a musician, like that probably helped a whole lot as well, for him to really like understand, like, okay, he understands what it's like to, have a passion for something this artistic, and
yeah,
wanting to pursue that. And so
yeah,
that's awesome, because that's not everybody's story and testimony when it comes to that, to wanting to dance or act or sing and things like that.
yeah. I meet so many women and men that would tell me, they're like, or because I don't teach just heels, I teach a regular hip hop class as well. And it's like, hey, I wanted to dance for so long, but my parents could not afford to put me in dance. But now that I'm adult, I'm going to pursue it. I want to,
Hmm.
try. And I'm like, what an absolute blessing. And as
Hmm.
an immigrant family, because when we got here, we were in high school,
Okay.
and my poor mother, bless her whole heart, and she will never let us forget this too.
Uh,
Putting, having to be a single parent in a whole new world.
yeah.
But then also my sister and I wanted to dance, and I can tell you from
Hmm.
experience, because I know dance from both sides. I know dance as a dancer. I also know dance from the business perspective,
Hmm.
and it's not cheap.
Yeah.
And she had to put two children through high school drill team. It's not cheap. She
Right.
worked two jobs to do that, and I'm forever indebted to her for that, for making sure that I got that experience and continued to. My sister doesn't dance anymore. She's a big boss lady now, but um, I know she does. She's like, don't ask me to move my body like this, and she was so much better than I was actually,
Oh, wow.
in dance. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, look, it happens like that though, and so, man, but that's awesome though. And so what I wanted to also ask you, when it came to your dance, so at what moment did you realize that it was a ministry? Because, like, we those in the church come to know dance, we praise dancers and liturgical dancers. But
Hmm.
when did you come to know dance as a ministry for you?
Especially being in the secular world section like of dance, it's very hard. And I always
Mhm.
think that, and when you look at something like hip hop heels, and for those of you that are, obviously listeners to this podcast, and you go search for hip hop heels or anything to do with heels dancing on Instagram, the internet,
Mhm.
your mouth's going to fall to the floor because it's very sexualized, overly sexualized. Dancing in heels already is it's a
Right.
sexualized thing, but then I think the world has just taken that and flipped it on its head, and
Mhm.
it's become this insane industry. Like, I mean, I hope I can be candid and use
Yeah.
words. We all grown, like, it's like soft porn,
Mhm.
essentially, like in broad daylight. And
Right.
I've never really been about that. One, because my driving force for my life has always been, I want to do something and create a life that my future family, I'm single, not married, don't have any kids, never been married, I should say.
Mhm.
And I've always said that I have a responsibility to my future family, because
Mhm.
when I want them to look back and go, oh, that's my mom, not, oh, that's my mom. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
Um, or like, babe, like, what were you thinking in that moment, kind of thing.
Right.
And this was even before I feel like I got super saved,
Mhm.
right? Let me be very clear about that.
Right. Right. Okay.
I had this mindset already because first, my family, and we're not this like super tight knit family. And I know I'm going the really long way around to
Oh,
answer your
no, that's
question. I'm
fine.
fully
No.
aware of that.
Mhm.
And my mom, there's a reason why in the Bible the Lord tells us we have to listen to our parents first, right? Like, obey your mom and your dad. I
Mhm.
think that's because they're his initial representatives on the earth to us.
Yes. Yes.
And when I tell you African mamas are known for putting the fear of God in a child, my mom does not have to be next to me
Mhm.
for me to want to act right. I can already hear her
Right.
voice, even at this ripe old age of 40,
Right. Right.
because I don't want to do it. I don't want to do anything that's going to cause her grief or that's going to make her go. So my first heels class, I made my mom take it with me. I
Oh.
made her I made her be in the class, and she's like, "Where did you learn all this stuff?" I was like, "Don't worry about it. I've been in these streets too long. It's fine. Just take the class and we're gonna be
Yes.
okay."
Listen.
And um and so um the ministry piece for me started shaping when I realized how much influence I had
Yeah.
with something like this. But then also with that influence came a responsibility.
Mhm.
And I truly believe that had I been out here in some booty shorts, my boobs hanging out, or my half naked,
Mhm.
my students, you can look at any of my videos. The last one I just posted, I'm wearing these extra overs. I am 5'1" and weigh
Yeah.
145.
Wow. Yeah.
Them pants are large. They're like parachute pants
Mhm.
and a giant extra large sweater. That's how I taught my heels class. I do not care. I am on a
That's how
mission
you
to
taught
make
us.
sweatpants sexy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Definitely.
on a mission to make sweatpants sexy. I'm like, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
um I've done this. I've been teaching heels for a while. Again, probably before I got super safe.
Right.
Then one day, I keep calling it super safe. That sounds so weird. Sorry, Lord. I didn't mean to say it like that. Before
Please
my
keep it
relationship with the
serious.
Lord
Yes.
deepened,
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
because
Right.
I've been in church my whole life.
Right.
Um, and so it really hit me when after classes, we would be in the parking lot of the studio, and these ladies would just talk about life.
Mm,
And that was it. And, class is over,
right.
sometimes till 1 in the morning, and people are like, "Hey, we have questions," or "Can you pray for me?" And we would pray with each other. Like,
Wow.
class is over, we're
Right.
just in the parking lot chilling, kicking it. And
Mhm.
once I had but and I want to say this out loud, and I may be jumping ahead here. I truly believe if God did not want me to do this, He would have taken it away from me a really long time ago. I am a firm believer in that, because
Mhm.
Jesus knows my limits, and He
Mhm.
know I'm stubborn as all get out. I am so stubborn, and
Yeah.
the exit would not have been pretty, but
Yeah.
He would have taken it away
Bad
from
take.
me. But
Yeah.
I truly believe
Yeah.
that He trusts me with this, and I just came to that realization probably like 3 weeks ago. I was like, you know what? I feel like God trusts me enough to know that I'm not gonna mess this up. Like, I'm not gonna lose myself in this, and I won't lose sight of Him in this.
Right.
And
Right.
so, um, a few years back, we had a young lady that was had been wanting to attend my class for months. When I tell you my class used to sell out months in advance, it was not a joke.
Wow.
And um, she finally attended one class. just
Mhm.
one. And I hope I don't cry saying this. And I never deleted this video. It's still on Instagram. And we stopped and we were in the parking lot talking. She had this business and she shared it with us, and we were just vibing, chilling. And she was like, "I can't wait to come to the next one. I'm so excited. This is such
Mhm.
a great opportunity for me to get away from my life and just like,
Wow.
just be amongst other women."
Yeah.
I never got to see her again. She got killed by her
Oh.
estranged boyfriend, husband, whatever. And it was on the news. I
Mm.
did not know. I got the phone call and they were like, "Remember so and so? We just found out." I was like, and it was just like full on tears. And
Yeah.
I've only met this woman once in my life. And that's when I realized, like, truly deeply. And then I over the years, I see the friendships. There are people that they don't talk to me now, which is fine. I've gotten very comfortable with being the vessel. I
Mhm.
know this for
Mhm.
a fact. And
Mhm.
not everybody can do that. I
Right,
know
right.
this as well. It's like you have to be comfortable with people coming in and out of your doors and
Yes.
not having any part to play with it. Some of these women have traveled the world together. Some of them have been in each other's weddings, and
Mhm.
all because they met in a class wearing heels. If
Wow.
that's not ministry, I don't
Right.
know what else is.
Yes. Wow. I got like chills.
So
Yes.
that's my life story.
It definitely, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's definitely, ministry. And wow. I just think about, that student you were talking about, like that was like one of her last wishes, like, to be able to be a part of one of your classes. Woo, wow. And I'm glad that it impacted her positively.
Mm-hmm.
Especially being probably one of the last things that she got to do that she really enjoyed. Um, and I want to go back because you you made me think of one of the other podcast interviews I did, and we got to kind of talking about the difference between things being sinful, secular, um,
Mm.
and there's a difference between it. And there is, because of the purity of your heart and you knowing your position in all of this, like you said, I'm the vessel. You knowing and understanding that, um, and you're not doing it like you said to, it's not to be overly sexual and things like that. You're not doing it for that reason. Um,
Yeah.
and so that is what it makes it secular, but it doesn't make it sinful. And me personally, I don't believe that God has a problem with things that are secular. He only has a problem with the sinful. And so I gave the example of, brushing your teeth is secular. It's not sinful. And that's what it was. It was secular, sinful, and sacred. So we got those three.
Mm.
So we know what's sacred. We know what's sinful, and then secular's in the middle. And so there's nothing wrong with doing the secular things as long as they're not sinful. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be sacred, though. Like I said, brushing your teeth is secular. It's not sacred. It's not sinful, but it's a must,
Mm-hmm.
right? We must brush our teeth, right? For many reasons, health reasons, and interacting with other people. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
and so that's what a lot of us people is in the church. If it's not sacred, then it's got to be sinful. If it's secular, it's got to be sinful, and that's not the case. And so I love that you know how to balance all of that. You know how far to
I
go.
hope so.
You know how far to go
Ah,
in your, in your dancing, in your instructing, and when you're leading others. And like I said, it's this really is it builds people. It's like a building, building
yeah.
building up of others. And so that's the blessing in all of it. And has it always been where you knew exactly your position? Like you always recognized that you were the vessel? Or was that ever hard?
No, because I'm a creative, number one, and
Mhm,
I grew up in a town where my family was pretty popular. So
mhm,
there's still that, in all candor, there's still that, from time to time that like, why not me? I want to be popular too, kind of thing.
right,
There's nothing like moving from a third world country to America. It'll humble you real quick because over there you the ish. Here you're not.
right,
Listen to me. Don't nobody know me over here. We're
right,
starting over. That humbled me quickly.
yeah,
And it was a process of learning to become the vessel and
mhm,
being okay with it, because when the ladies will hang out, it's like, well, how come y'all didn't invite me? They're like, girl, you're not gonna come. I was like, you know what, you're right, but you should still have invited me though.
right,
uh,
right,
you know, like, they know my life well enough to like, you're so busy. And that's the life that I chose to live. And
mhm,
just like today, even in all the different things that I've got to do, but I made the choice to do all the things that I wanted to do. But
mhm,
y'all could still invite me because there's
right,
still part of me that still wants to be in the crew, in the
mhm,
group. However, seeing how God is taking me and setting me apart for certain things, I had to get really comfortable with that. And so, how people, I made this post a long time ago about how people treat the vessel. The
mhm,
vessel is always going to be the vessel, no matter who, what, why, or when.
right,
Whether you receive it, like if God, let's just say, for example, if someone, I say vessel, gift, container, let's say
mhm,
somebody gives you a gift that is a vessel, a container, it's used to carry things from place to place,
mhm,
and um, you take it and you're like, you know what? I know they gave me this vessel and it's meant to put water in it. I'm actually going to put like coffee and wine instead.
mhm,
That doesn't change the purpose of
right,
said vessel. It doesn't change why it was given to you.
mhm,
And let's say you grab it and you're like, you know what? I don't even really like this color. It's a blue container. You know what? I'm really more of a red person. I'm just going to re-gift it. Great.
right,
It's still
right,
what it's meant to be. It's cracked, whatever,
mhm,
doesn't change. And
mhm,
so for me, when I started accepting this, I don't know, I'm going to call it responsibility. I don't know if it's
mhm,
necessarily my calling per se.
mhm,
This responsibility of connecting people,
mhm,
of allowing things and people to pass through my hands.
mhm,
I think it then allowed me an opportunity to lead better,
yeah,
because I didn't, I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, well, take a picture, do this. And I'm like, I know how to take my own pictures. I create those environments. But when
mhm,
it's not about me, I
mhm,
have to be about other people. I know how to make stuff about me. Don't you worry about that. I'm gonna get my makeup artist. I'll get
right,
my it's gonna be a production for me.
right,
But when it's about, but I don't do it often. So when it's about people, I make it about people.
mhm,
Um, I cannot pinpoint when that switch happened. I couldn't even tell you if I tried.
mhm,
But it blessed me when I became okay with that.
right,
And it's every day. It's not a battle, but every day it's a conscious choice.
mhm,
And like I know one of the questions you'd asked me earlier was about like my favorite quote.
yeah, yeah,
And I have plenty, but in that moment I couldn't think of one.
okay,
And I was actually listening to that song and I was like, oh yeah, easy. It is the song.
mhm,
Um,
yeah,
and
yeah, gracefully broken. I
that's
love
my jam.
I love it. And because it's I don't know, like it's kind of like you said, back to your example about the vessel, like
Yeah.
whether it's cracked or not, it still holds the same purpose. Like it's still supposed to, hold whatever we put in it. And so even being gracefully broken, like God can still use you. It's like it's not just because you're broken don't mean we throw you away, you know. And so that is, I love just to listen. It's like an encouraging song, when because we fall short, right? We don't always get it right. Sometimes we fail at things, um and so to just be reminded that even in our
Yeah.
brokenness, we still have purpose is like amazing. And so I definitely, when I saw that you put that song, I was like, yeah, the whole song, like the whole thing. You don't need to take anything out.
No, and I went through a really rough patch, man, and
Mhm.
I had that song on repeat. And you're talking about ugly cry like it's in the color purple, honey. I tell you what, it
Yeah.
was full on. It was ugly cry, snot everywhere, and
Right.
it's like for a good long season, I could not hear that song without crying.
Wow.
And I set a goal for myself to record it.
Mhm.
And I have a couple of friends that produce music, and so I got in the studio with one of them and
Oh,
just
wow.
recorded it. And the first time, like, run through, I was in tears. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I need to, like,
Right.
I'm
Right.
gonna need to, you know. And I had to allow myself to get to a place where I couldn't even cry. I was like, I cannot be emotional. So I had to wait until I got through certain things so
Mhm.
that I could record that song without getting emotional. It's such a beautiful song. So
Wow.
beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So Gina is a singer, you guys. Did you hear that?
Only at church these
Oh,
days.
only in church these days, right?
I, I I try to serve on the worship team to make sure that I can dust off the vocal cords every once in a while. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna need to keep these active, Jesus. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
And back to the ministry piece, and I don't know if you probably asked this, but I feel compelled to say this out loud. Like, one of the biggest things for me with
Mhm.
continuing to keep it a ministry in my brain, in my mind,
Mhm.
I know my, like you said it, I know my limitations, I know my boundaries, and I don't cross them often. I
Mhm.
cannot tell you how many times I've gotten requests from women like, hey, I want to, like, learn a sexy dance for me and my husband. There were times when I would take the job. It didn't
Mhm.
matter to me.
Mhm.
But then when I made a promise to myself and to God, single, celibate until the one, I
Mhm.
started saying no. And
Mm.
I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not in that mindset. I'm not in that
Right.
mind. That is not even. We're not gonna put that on me right now. So I'm like, I know somebody else that's married.
Mhm.
Um, Hit her up. She does heels. She's my homie, and she got you
Right.
because she's in that frame of mind.
Mhm.
And when you know, just the other, I've had guys take my class, in heels and stuff.
Yeah.
And I have to keep reminding myself our job is to love people. I
Mhm.
don't have to participate in your sin. I don't have to agree with your sin. I'm just supposed to love you.
Right.
End of
Right.
story.
Mhm.
And, that saying that you may be the only Jesus that people see,
Right. Right. Yeah, it's
that
true.
is that is that is a very, very real thing. And
Mhm.
I know, like, some people are going to hear this and they're going to be like, oh my gosh,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
we live in a world where this is the world we live in.
It is.
Again,
Yeah.
do you, boo boo? Come
Yeah.
take the class, however you are. I do not
Mhm.
care. I
Mhm.
love everybody because
Mhm.
I have my own sin. Just because it's not on
Right.
center front for people to see and look at, don't mean
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
is not there.
Right. Right.
And so sin is sin, period. And I've had people that have been curious about certain things and just come and taking class and
Mhm.
um it's okay, I don't mind.
Mhm.
I've had some younger girls and they want to take class and I'm like, no, this is
Right.
too adult. We're
Right.
going to respect our boundaries. Now if your mom brings you,
Mhm.
great.
Right. Right. But not
Listen to your parents.
right.
It's not on my watch. Now I've had some younger ones that have taken and the parents have okayed it.
Mhm.
I'm like, great, sit outside. But
Right.
give me a heads up so I can make sure it's not like too much, and the music is a
Right.
little bit different.
Right.
And
Right.
and I think that that's where a lot of that responsibility comes from
Mhm. Mhm.
for me um because some people will do this stuff and then lose themselves in it or go a different route than it was intended. And
Mhm.
I tell God all the time, when I'm done or when you feel like I've crossed lines or it's
Mhm.
time for me to move on to the next thing, take it away. I won't ask any questions. Just take it away.
Right. Right. Right.
You
And that,
know?
yeah, that's yeah. Um, like you said, just the boundaries and getting lost in it.
Yeah.
Because some would be just like, hey, I'm gonna get that bag, you do whatever. Anybody like all money's not good money.
Listen, I tell people all the time, y'all think I can't do all them like sexy, overly sexy things and
Right,
grinding on the floor? Oh, I know how. I just
right.
choose not to. And I
Yeah,
tell them flat out in class all the time. I said, my all access pass to heaven is not going to be revoked because of y'all. I ain't going to hell for nobody. I tell you what, I can do.
exactly.
Y'all can do that somewhere else. Over here, this is how we do it. And I get crap all the time, or actually not anymore, because I think people have kind of like,
Mhm,
they know my dance voice now per se. Like they understand like this is what Gina's gonna do, and so they know like I'm not gonna do any song that's like super. I still dance to, what do you call it, clean music,
yeah, so you
just
don't do
cause.
the raunchy stuff. You don't do all of that. Yeah.
Now there might be some really like, the beat might be great, so I'll go. There's some Beyonce songs where I had to get instrumentals, man. I'm like, girl, listen,
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm like, we'll do the instrumental. Maybe we'll get a remix. People like, oh, Gina's not gonna do that song. No, she's not.
Right,
No,
right.
she's not. So y'all should go ahead to somebody else. I'm not doing that.
And I'm glad they know, like you said, they know you, you
They're
know.
like, your choreography is really safe. Yes,
Mhm.
it is. Not everybody want to be humping and gyrating 24/7. We here to dance.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
that stuff
And
at
have
home.
fun and have fun. Right. And like you said, this is not a soft porn studio. We're not doing that.
No.
And so I definitely love that. And I want to go back to like you said that the pretty much the commitment that you made to God. You said single, celibate, into the one, and how some like
Mm-hmm.
you won't even play with doing anything that would jeopardize that or even put you in the mind frame of wanting to. So you
Mm-hmm.
won't be like so now is not a good season for you to be
Well,
go
y'all wait till I get married, though.
right. Then we got to go see Gina. Look, but you don't have to get in that mind frame of entertaining a man, because once you would have did that for her, now you would have been stuck still with those thoughts after the fact. And it could lead anywhere, and so
Yep.
that you set that boundary and that you stick to it. Um
Oh yeah.
and have backup. You have people referrals for people like, hey, go see such and such. She can take
Listen, I cannot tell you how many people. Oh, we want a twerk class. I don't twerk. I have a referral. She right down the street. Are
right.
you sure? Girl, I could. This I cannot tell y'all. I say this funnily all the time, but I really do think that the Lord he's very comical, and I appreciate him. I tell my friends all the time. I really believe that God made me a little like short, a little bit broken, a little fat, because he would if I was tall and skinny and had money. Let me
Look,
tell y'all something. It'd be a wrap. We would be out in these streets one hoeing. Secondly, I'd be out here trying to. It'd be completely secure in all the bags. I
right,
would leave
right.
left no crumbs. Let me just say
Look,
that. So the Lord's like, you know what? Let's humble her. She's gonna be
yeah.
about 5'1". She's gonna struggle with her weight for a season. And let's not give her a lot of money. Let's just let her work for it. It'll
Right,
keep her humble. She ain't gonna mess with nobody.
right.
Yes. Thank you,
I
Jesus.
think he does. He
Okay.
does give us those. Look, he give us those thorns in our side. You
Bumper car. This is the little bumpers like when you go kart. He's like, here's
uh
your bumper right here, girl. Go,
right,
stay in this lane. Stay in this
right.
lane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
no. People be
I,
laughing. I was like, y'all think it's funny. I'm being for real
I
because
agree
I know
though.
me.
Listen,
I
look,
know me well.
okay. Uh-huh.
Shoot.
So man,
Anyway.
it's so good that you, like I said, that you are committed to that lifestyle. Like, I'm not gonna play around with it because so many people flirt with it. They flirt on the line.
Mm,
And then when they end up falling in the wrong direction, it's like, oh my goodness, what happened now? Now
yeah.
we're at square one. Now I'm starting over. Now, and so it takes maturity though, you know.
Well, and you know, again, when you've got there was a season when I had 40 women walk through my doors every time I taught a class.
Wow.
40. That's not a joke.
Wow.
And can you imagine having that? many people in front of you on a daily basis. And when I did a pod on dance and sexuality, and I guess, and then I shared something about me being celibate for 10 years now, actually, a little bit over 10. And I cannot tell you how many people, non-Christian ladies, found that very interesting and came up to me and said they're slowly making that decision as well.
Yeah.
I did it for for God. And
Mhm.
because I also want to, how do I put this? When I was um uh it was the last like real relationship that I attempted to have, and it was a struggle. And I remember exactly where I was when he asked me, "What do you want?" And
Mhm.
I said, "Everything." And he said, "I can't give you that." And I said, "Okay." We hung up the phone. It was a long distance relationship.
Mhm.
And I said, "Lord, this on you right now. I'm
Mhm.
done. I'm good. I'm going to wait this thing out. I'm not doing this anymore. This is too much back and forth.
Mhm.
And it's just going to be me and you." And so now, keyword here is celibate. So
Yeah.
I'm not a virgin. And I even said this on my podcast. I
Right.
said, so I know what I'm missing. So y'all be all right. Y'all just
Right.
let's just
Right.
start there.
Listen.
And so it's important that when you give something like that up, the why. And
Yeah.
my why at the time was that, yes, for God, but God unfortunately came second in this regard. The
Mhm.
main thing for me was I said I had to stop giving so much of myself away, because I was starting to get very concerned that when I did meet my husband, there wouldn't be any more of me left to give.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot imagine meeting that man and going, I am so broken,
Right.
so completely, um I don't even know, so messed up because of all these other dudes,
Mhm.
and here you are,
Right. Mm.
and I don't even know how to love you properly because I've given so much of me away. And I
Mm.
know that's not possible because as human, we are made after God, so we can love endlessly, right? But in that moment, that was my thought. And I was
Mhm.
like, Gina, save a little bit of something for your
Yeah.
future husband and kids. You can't give it all away.
Right.
And
Right.
then the God piece came into play.
Mhm.
And shortly after that, I got baptized.
Wow.
And um and it's just been this journey of just, and my pastor would say something like, you keep picking the wrong guys, your picker is off. I was like, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like I'm in a better position to pick the guy that because I've said this before. I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna have to pick him, because the ones that be trying to pick me, I'm like,
Right.
I don't I don't want that, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And I feel like it's, again, still that responsibility, because I have young women in their 20s that
Mhm.
come to my class, and a lot of people have asked me before, like, how can you be single celibate and teach heels classes? I was like, having sex is not the prerequisite to teaching a heels class. Let's
Right.
start there. You guys are weird.
Yeah. People.
That is not the prerequisite.
It's definitely not at
It's
all.
like saying, let me not even go there. Pause, Gina. Find your words properly. And so I started heels for fitness and for confidence, and
Mhm.
it carries on. And that is what it's for. And I think that just because dance has become so sexualized, people feel like every dancer is out here just sleeping with each other. I was like,
Yeah.
I go home to me. It's just I live alone.
Yeah.
If I call my family, nowadays they call me. They're like, "You okay? We ain't talked to you in a few weeks." It's like, "Oh yeah, I'm good. Just
Right.
working."
Right. Wow.
So,
Yeah. It's definitely not a prerequisite.
oh no, it's not.
Yeah, like, but I do love, your honesty and about just, first it was for you. Like you came to that realization, like this is something I need to do for me. And
Mhm.
then it was like, okay, God, now. So now that
Hey,
because if you
anywhere
don't,
we got to get to him, right?
yeah, if you don't make the decision, but it's at some point, whether it comes first or second, you have to, like you said, your why has to be strong enough to keep you, in
Yeah.
that mindset to keep you in that heart's position, like, hey, I'm going to, because that's a way of guarding your heart. I'm going to guard my heart from here on out. Because like you said, you said, of course, we can love endlessly, but when you said, you don't want to be to the point where you meet the one, the one that you've been waiting on all this time, the one that's perfect for you, and you have nothing left to give. You have nothing but broken pieces to give. And so, like, you don't like, why would you want to give broken pieces to someone like that? So,
And if you're like, ladies, if there's a lady listening to this, and I have to say this, it's not a disclaimer, by the way. I'm just
oh,
gonna
go ahead.
say it like I want to say it.
Mhm.
If you're someone that has lived a life where you feel like you continuously, like you ain't sat by yourself a minute,
Right.
you relationship after relationship after relationship. Number one, your pickers off. Quit picking the wrong men. Stop.
Mhm.
You need to sit down by yourself. Okay, it was, and I've had some people say to me like, well, that was just, that's your decision, and that's so hard. I'm not there yet. I'm like, okay,
Right. Hey.
just hold on.
Mhm.
It'll come. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? But think about, like she said, how do you, when you go, you meet the one, and you're just like, I can see the picture right now. I'm such a visual person, and they're literally holding their hand out to you, and you literally grab your hand and you just open it. There's nothing but pieces, and you're like, "Here I am,"
Yeah,
instead of a whole gift of something.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not perfect. I trust me. I got enough messed up other issues. I start therapy this Thursday. This is a thing.
That's good.
Um,
Proud of you.
and thank you. It's a process.
It is.
And I've got my eyes set on a particular dude right now. Praise the Lord. Let's start there.
Okay.
He's probably never gonna see this, but but if he does, hey. um,
Okay.
um. Anyway, and so I say that to say, like, for the ladies that are listening to this, and gentlemen too, if you're listening to this and you just find yourself in the cycle of just continuously giving away of yourself, please stop and think for just a moment. Stop thinking about you for a moment. Because I think sometimes too, that is a selfish thing to continuously having to, if you feel like you have to be in a relationship all the time, pause.
Mhm.
Because you're being selfish.
Mhm.
Because you're hurting yourself and you're hurting your future. And I think at some point you have to sit by yourself and deal with the sound of your voice. I think a lot of people, because I was that person,
Yeah.
it was one relationship after the other. I had to learn to love the sound of my voice.
Mhm.
Sitting at home, I
Mhm.
took myself on dates plenty of time. People like, oh, that's so sad. I was like, sad to who?
I was
I am at peace.
okay.
I ain't got to worry about nobody. I
Yeah.
listen. I
Yeah.
haven't taken a trip in a lot. Well, that's not true. I just came back from New York for my birthday, but
Mhm.
I was known for, people who know me well, like, oh, she's probably in the woods somewhere by herself. Yes, freaks my family out. They're like, what are you doing in the woods by yourself? You're a black girl. What are you doing? I said,
Right,
don't mind
right.
me. You got my location. You know where I'm at.
Right.
So
Right,
if
right.
something happen, ping me.
Right.
So no, just love, just figure out how to sit and
Mhm.
talk to God and be and chill. It's so important.
It
So,
is.
so important. And it'll make you, when you learn to sit with yourself, it'll
Mhm.
make you an even better person to sit with,
Yes.
because you're gonna be able to pick the right company. Listen, you can't sell me nothing I don't want to buy right now. I'll be looking at you like, where?
Exactly.
Because I am comfortable, honey, so
Yeah.
comfortable. And which is why
Right.
when, I'm not just gonna, fall for just any Tom, Dick, and Harry that rolls by here. First of all, there's too much time and work put into this. And you would think, oh, well, you've been single too long. Sadly, I also don't know how to flirt because I'm apparently been that far at the game. Because I'm just like, at this point, Jesus just gonna have to stand you and be like, here, here
Right.
you go. That's your husband. I'm
Right.
like,
That's
can I just
it.
pick him? I picked him. How about this one? Um, and so anyway, I'm not making jokes about it, but it really is.
Hey.
It's been such a blessing to me. I didn't think I was going to be single this long. I figured God would have rewarded my good works by now, but he's like, "Mm-mm, you're not ready." So I was like, okay, maybe it's therapy next.
Right, right, right. And that you're so
Yeah.
right though. Because like you said, if you can't sit with yourself, now it's like now you have a self-love issue because it's like you have to like yourself first and love yourself first before anyone else can truly love or like you because yeah, you don't it's like you don't know who you are until you're able to sit with yourself quiet down, listen to your own thought, like just listen to who you are from the heart. If you can't do that, it's going to be so hard to, like you said, do that with somebody else. And man, I for one love my own company. Okay, I love it. I love
I tell you what, you
it.
can I mean, my friends are like, "She's always so busy." I was like, "Yeah, I am. I fill my time with." I also don't leave much room these days for, a lot of different things. If it's y'all make time to go do stuff with friends as needed. However, I've been on a journey of just really, unfortunately for me, I started a little bit late building my legacy.
Mhm.
But that's key thing for me right now is making sure my legacy is secure. So yes, my time, you're not gonna get just my time like that. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I've just gotta be ready at any point in time. Um, I know we've talked a lot about like ministry in heels. When I say dance is my ministry,
Mhm.
I mean that entirely.
Oh
And not
yeah.
just in
Oh
heels.
yeah.
I teach
Yeah.
kids as well.
Awesome.
And I knew that they'll tell you.
Mhm.
I walk around the street, I'm like, they'll do something else like, praise the Lord, what you doing? Or I'll be like, baby, I say things that they hear, and they hear me say like, praise God or bless the King or something like that. I say it all the time.
Mhm.
And it's so funny. We're at a competition the other day, and one of the little girls, I walked in the room or something, it was messy. I was like, bless the King, this is y'all a mess in here. And this little girl stopped. She goes, Miss Gina, I knew you were in the room because I heard bless the King.
Aw.
I said, yes, yes, honey, yes.
That is so
Bless
cute.
the King. Praise the Lord, bless the King. Come on up in here. Y'all still messy though. Y'all need to clean
Right,
up.
right.
Um,
That's awesome.
and so how I talk to the kids, how I treat the kids,
Mhm.
all of that, that's part of the ministry. I
Yeah,
know that when I walk, some of these kids, their parents tell them when they're having a hard day, you go talk to Miss Gina. Doesn't matter.
yeah,
That's part of the ministry.
yeah.
Is those kids know that they're loved, they're cared for. My heels lady, right after I met you guys, actually, I was in Austin for a wedding. My homeboy was getting married,
Mhm.
and they banded together, and my heels ladies made me a thank you video, which I did not ask for, did not expect.
Yeah.
And I again, I put a lot. As much as I put on the gram, I actually don't put anything on the gram. The
Uh,
video is there of my response. In me in full blown tears.
aw,
I'm
aw,
because it caught me off guard, and that's you know, they say, people change lives. I don't even know these things are happening until it's happening. And it's
right,
not a like pat on the shoulder. I don't take credit for that. That's all God.
right.
And my one of my pastors came on there, and she was like, Gina, this is so beautiful. What they don't know is like that's the spirit of God on you. I
Yeah,
know that. They
yeah.
don't know
Right,
that.
right.
And you know what I mean? And I think that that's important for people to not miss. And it's like, yes, we do all carry the DNA of God within us. And
Mhm.
um we are the church. We are the ministry. We carry
Yeah,
the DNA of Jesus, and we've got to take that with us wherever we go.
yeah, yeah.
I've prayed in clubs before.
Wow.
I run a dance showcase, and we lost a couple of guys that died suddenly in a car wreck. We stopped the
Yeah.
show and we prayed.
Mhm.
Respect, you know what I mean? And they've brought me into prayer in different places before. A lot of these people know, like, Gina is sold out for Jesus. She is, and Jesus knows I will give up hip hop heels in a
Mhm.
heartbeat if he tells me to.
Mhm.
No questions asked.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not mine to begin with. When I um was I was pulled in to to lead the dance team at my church. I met with my pastors, my worship pastors, and I asked them, I said, do I need to give up hip hop heels? Is
Mm,
that going to be a conflict of interest? They're like, we don't see why you can't keep both. Like, it's not like your butt cheeks are hanging out when you teach. You actually,
right.
you,
Yeah.
um,
You steward it
you
responsibly.
support women, and
Yeah.
you're all about confidence and stuff like that. So if we saw an issue with it, we would say something. And I have accountability in some of my friends that are pastors. I'm like, if you see me cross the line, you tell me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I love it that it's, that's your work, but it's not your idol. Like you don't idolize it. Oh God.
Mm-mm.
And you lead by your life. That's how you share the good news, the gospel, by the way you encounter others, the way you treat others, the way just their whole experience of you as a person. Your life does the preaching. And so, it's like your standards, your boundaries, like everything about you, like you said, it reflects Christ. And so it's not even that you have to um, only do um like the sacred dancing and all of that, but still who you are shines through. And so I love that about you and about the work that you do. Um and I love also that you said like, "Hey, I have accountability still." Like
Oh yeah.
so I'm not untouchable. Like, "Hey, you can't tell me anything." And even I love how you were even when you met with your pastors like, "Hey, I'm willing to if I have to submit this and surrender this in order to serve, like I will do that." And so
Hmm.
I love that because so many, especially as creatives, I am a creative outside of podcasting, but it's it's a part of us in so many ways, and so it can be hard to part with something that's so much of a part of us. But
Yeah.
are when you are like really sold out for Christ, like you said, if God says like, "Hey, no, I don't want you doing that anymore," that I can just give it up just like that, you know. Now,
You must have something
not saying
better.
it won't
So,
hurt. It's gonna hurt a little,
mhm,
but I still will give it up just like that
yeah.
because like you said, he has better, knows better, and that's always his plan for us. And so I thank you for just sharing. Oh my goodness. This is such a great conversation. Um, and I believe that it's going to inspire the listeners on more than one way. Like not only in pursuing ministry that's not like non-traditional, but also even like the insight you gave, look, for the single, like, come on now, single people.
It's not an easy life. I can
No,
say that,
yeah.
but it is, and I feel like there is, um, like there's certain things even recently that I've just stopped doing. I
Mm,
used to have a glass of wine every night.
mhm.
This was not by design, definitely by default. I just stopped drinking,
Wow. Yeah. And
even in my home. And I'm
it's
like, Lord, what are you preparing me for? Like, what is happening?
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. And some people think like, oh, I gotta get perfect all at one time. And
Mm-mm.
it's like God, he is patient enough to walk us slowly through the process if need. And the things that are not fitting for that season will fall off, like you said, by default. And like you again, as you're looking like you asking God, like, okay, what are you preparing me for? So if you find yourself like Geena, where things are starting to fall off, things that interested you before, you're not interested as much in, you're not doing those things as like begin to ask God, like, hey, what are you preparing me for? Like what's going on? Like, guys, I noticed that I'm changing. But you won't know that if you don't ever have time to yourself either. If you don't ever sit with yourself, you won't notice those things. And so I am I just really am just so happy and excited to have had the conversation with Gina. And I hope that it was inspiring for you all and that you were able to take something from this conversation. And so we're going to end right here. I hope you all have a fantastic week. I will see you all again on next Tuesday. You guys enjoy yourselves, and I want to hear from you all. Tell me how you enjoyed this conversation, any takeaways you may have gotten, and like this, I want to hear what you guys, your thoughts on the conversation today. What was your biggest takeaway? Um, what if you were inspired by anything? What was an inspirational point in this conversation? I would love to hear. Gina would love to hear, I'm sure. And be sure, I'm gonna put her information in the show notes. Make sure you guys go follow her so you can keep up with what she's doing, what God's doing in her life. And if you all would share this conversation with someone that you know could benefit from it, somebody that could use this inspiration. And we will see you all next time. All right, y'all have a good one.